formal opening of this hearing today. I do have. February 27th, 2025. The first portion of my statement was missed. This is February 27th meeting of the Illinois Board of Review. Okay. Today's session will be in two parts. We will begin with non-pro tunc matters. Those are the individuals who requested relief to file late appeals. After that's done, we will then go to our main list for regularly scheduled matters. And I believe that in this instance, we may have the law department to represent settlements and a substantial number of the non-pro tunc requests. Is anyone present for that purpose?
Counsel Don Benedetto is here on behalf of the appellants in those 61 cases that we're getting off the list.
Good morning,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Good morning, sir. Okay, so who wants to announce the settlement that I understand we have in these matters?
The specific request that we had sent is that there's quite a number of cases that the appellant is going to withdraw. And then for the remainder of those cases, which I can read into the record, we had actually jointly requested a continuance because the complexity of this, it's actually settling both TRB and Blur cases. We need to reduce that to writing.
Okay.
So we were asking for, I believe that Mr. Wade said we could come back if necessary on the 18th. But we're expecting to have that resolved in the coming days.
Okay, let's do it this
Pardon me, Chair, this is the court reporter. Could I please ask counsel to identify himself?
Michael Rullo, RULLO, on behalf of the city.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So let's do this in order, hopefully it'll be easier. Mr. Rulo, what I need you to do, because the address is the same for all of them, I believe. And so for the first group of matters that will be withdrawn, if you give the address and the last four digits, and then just get the last four digits, read into the record for all the withdrawn cases.
Okay.
Okay?
The first batch is numbers 1 through 16 on the Nunc Pro Tunc list, all for 1201 Vine Street, beginning with the first appeal ending 4784, 4785, 4787, 4789, 4790, 4792, 4793, 4797, 4798, 4799, 4812, 4813, 4814, 4815, 4817, 4818. And I actually missed this, but I guess Mr. Benedetto, I guess, do you want to introduce yourself and just confirm that what I've said so far is accurate?
And yes, this is Don Benedetto. What Mr. Rullo is putting forward is our agreement.
Yeah, Mr. Benedetto, for purposes of the record, would you just spell your last name, please?
Certainly. Benedetto on behalf of Meritus Group.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next group, I believe you have two groups of settlements, or is there another group of withdrawals?
There's another group of withdrawals. And so just to confirm for the clarity of the record, I just read in numbers 1 through 16, which the appellant has agreed to withdraw. We will now turn to numbers 36 to 55 on the list, and I'll do the same thing for those. Each of these properties is for 1201 Vine Street again, beginning with number 36, 4851, 4852, 4853, 4854, 4855, 4857, 4858, 4860, 4861, 4863, 4864, 4867, 4872, 4874, 4876, 4878, 4879, 4880, 4881, and 4882. Again, that was the second batch was numbers 36 through 55, and those are to be marked withdrawn by the appellant.
Thank you.
I can now move on to the ones where,
Yes, please proceed.
I can now move on. I'll now move on to the two batches of cases that we requested a continuance just so that we could reduce the agreement to writing.
Okay,
That is starting at number 17. Again, each of these cases I'm about to read are for 1201 Vine Street. Beginning with number 17, 4819, 4820, 4821, 4822, 4823, 4824, 4825, 4828, 4829, 4830, 4831, 4833, 4834, 4842, 4845, 4846, 4847, 4848, 4849.
thank you.
And then the second batch of cases begin at number 56 on the list. Again, these are all for 1201 Vine Street. 4883, 4884, 4885, 4886, 4887, 5271. And again, this second batch of these two batches of cases that I've just read off are the ones where we are requesting the continuance just so that we can finalize that agreement that has been reached in principle.
And that's confirmed, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you very much. So I believe that addresses the matters that were brought regarding 1201 Vine Street.
Yes, so just for clarity, we just addressed 1 through 61 on the list.
Okay, thank you very much.
And then I do have moots to read on a couple on this list and then a couple on the main list. or
Okay,
should-
let's just do this list,
Okay.
and then we'll come back later after we finish this matter.
And thank you, Mr. Chairman. May I be excused?
Yes, sir. Have a good afternoon.
You too, sir.
Pardon, I just lost my place. Turning to number 66. Appeal ending 0042. Actually, I'll address these together. I'm going to address number 66 and 67. First is 0042 and 0045, both for 1808 West Susquehanna Avenue. Appellant Robert McClendon. Both of those are moot.
Moot, thank you. Does that complete the list of non-pro-tunc matters preliminarily?
Preliminarily,
Yes. Does anyone else present or on the in the Zoom room have any preliminary matters for the non-pro-tunc list?
Good morning, Chairman Woodson. John
Yes.
Wazorek on behalf of the city.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Resort.
Good afternoon, Chairman. Long day.
Yep.
Uh,
Sir, are you related to this matter?
He is.
Oh, okay.
So this is
Sir,
number,
have a seat.
this is number 69 on the list, appeal ending 0067 for the property located at 51 West Allen's Lane.
Yes.
The appellant is ISKCON of Philadelphia. This is a member of the congregation, if you want to identify yourself to the board.
Yes. Push the button to make sure that your mic is on and pull it
Okay,
close to
great.
your face.
Great. My name is Bob Soni and
Spell
I'm
your
a
last name, sir?
congregation. Bob Soni, Soni.
Okay,
And I represent the congregation is a Buddhist church in West Philadelphia in Allen's Lane. And we received a citation in month of December.
okay, wait. Before we go there, we aren't there yet. What's the preliminary matter,
So-
Mr. Missouri?
I informed Mr. Suni that they would need an attorney for this matter. So at this time, I would just, I believe we need a continuance for the
okay.
purposes of obtaining counsel. And also, I do expect this matter to be resolved shortly.
Okay, so Mr. Suni, both you here on behalf of 51 West Allen's Lane as well as 2330 North 58th Street,
Not the second, sorry, not the second one.
just the Allen's Lane,
Yeah, 41 West Allen's Lane.
51 West Allen's.
I'm
Lane.
sorry, 51 West Allen's.
Okay, so as a corporation, you need an attorney to represent your interests. And so because you don't have an attorney today, we will, are you an attorney? Okay, we will have to continue this matter to allow you an opportunity to secure an attorney.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
so we'll note the matter as continued. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Have a good afternoon. Okay, does anyone else present have a matter? for the non-pro tunc list. Only the lawyers referencing. Please.
Good afternoon, Board. Michelle Reinhart for the City of Philadelphia. REINHART. I would like to draw your attention to number 70 on the nunc-pro-tunc list.
Okay,
This is appeal ending 00073 regarding 2330 North 58th Street. The appeal was filed by Barrington Davidson. However, the licensing violation notice was issued to a Eartha Construction Company LLC. I was wondering if there is an attorney here representing their interest. As this is a corporate entity, there was none listed on the appeal form.
okay. Do you know the connection between Eartha and Barrington Davidson?
I do not.
Okay, is anyone present representing the interests of Barrington Davidson?
Yes, Your Honor, online.
Yes, sir. Your name, sir?
My name is Barrington Davidson.
Okay, and are you connected to Eartha Construction Company?
I'm connected to Eartha as a construction manager. I'm employed by them.
Okay, so the violation notice was written against you personally or against the company?
Against the company.
Okay, so you need to have an attorney. You can't represent the company's interests unless you are an attorney. Are you an attorney?
No, sir. No, Your
Okay,
Honor.
so the company has to hire a lawyer to represent them in this appeal.
So can I request continuous to
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
we will continue the matter to allow you to hire an attorney. Please note that the language on the violation indicates clearly that you must be represented by an attorney if you are a corporation. So I just want to say that to everyone who's listening and participating.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there anything else?
Nothing
Will
further,
you,
thank you.
will the date be sent in, will the date for the next?
Yeah,
one
you'll
be
get,
sent?
you'll get a new date in mail, in the postal, as well as email.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Alrighty. Are there any other matters that someone wants to raise regarding non-pro tunc lists? If not, we will then call, that's number 68, Mr. Moto. Okay, would you call that one, please?
This is item 68 on the list, hearing appeal ending 0057-5126 Germantown Avenue. Harper and Paul Esquire doing business as Sharon Harvey.
Anyone present? Who's representing the city in this matter?
Good afternoon, Chairman. This is Mari Aquino, AQUINO, on behalf
Afternoon,
of the
Ms.
city.
Good afternoon. Harper and Paul Esquire, DBA Sharon Harvey.
I'm here
Sharon
on my
Harvey.
case. My name is Andrea Paul. I'm an attorney in place of Sharon Harvey. And Ms. Harvey filed a non-pro tunc for the appeal to be considered non-pro tunc because the violations.
Wait. You're a little too fast for us. Okay, just
Okay.
one moment. Okay, so you're representing the firm Harper and Paul Esquire?
Yes, but the owner of the property.
Okay, I just want to get that answered. So you, Andrea Paul, you are in fact, so just, I need you to put your name on the record as the attorney.
My name is Andrea B. Paul and I represent the owner of 5126 Germantown Avenue, William Hudson Family Trust.
Oh. Okay, so the appellant is a family trust and not Harper and Paul Esquire.
We're not the owners of the property. We're just the lawyers for the trust.
Oh, okay, so the listing was a little different. Then would you just, for a moment, give us the name of the owner of the property, please?
The owner of the property is Wilson Hudson Family Trust.
Wilson Hudson Family Trust, okay. All right, just one moment. All righty, so the matter that we're dealing with presently is the issue of a relief for late appeal. And so
Yes.
according to the record, we're showing that the violation was issued 10/22/24, and the appeal was not submitted until January 7th, 25. And so we just want to hear from you as to why that time gap. And also, just before you proceed, Mr. Queen, are you prepared to move forward in that discussion?
Yes, Chairman.
You're prepared? Okay, just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Okay, what we need to do is hear from the appellant. Ma'am, what is the argument?
Well, the
Oh.
owner did not receive notice of the violations, didn't receive the violations. If you look at the City of Philadelphia property website, the mailing address for the owner is 3389 River Road, Decatur, Georgia 30034. That is the address of the owner. That's where they get their water bills. That's where they get their real estate bills. That's the address that is listed with the City of Philadelphia. The violations may have gone to a tenant, but the tenant did not make violations available for the owner. And so we would like to have an opportunity to deal with the violations. I won't get into merit, but we don't
Okay.
have any notice. And then once we did have notice, we did file this application.
Okay, question for you, and then I'll ask Ms. Aquino to respond. But in this instance, the mailing address that they have on, in the city records is the Decatur, Georgia, address?
They didn't have that address till later.
Okay, so what address had they given to the city before now?
Well, on everything for the city, it's a Decatur, Georgia.
Well, that's what I just asked, yes. Was the
Finally, they
address,
changed it. Well, finally, they changed it, and then we got the violations, and then this.
okay, Ms. Paul, wait a
document
minute,
was
wait a minute. Let's do this. Mr. Aquino, do you have any response?
Yes, Chairman. So the Ms. Paul is correct. The address on file with the city is that 3389 River Road, Decatur, Georgia address. And an initial notice of violation was mailed to that address on October 22nd, 2024.
What address?
The Decatur, Georgia address.
Okay,
And that's the address listed for the Walter Hudson Family Trust, the listed owners for the property.
okay. All right, so in fact, the initial violation notice was mailed to the correct address.
Yes, Chairman.
Okay, all righty. So the other question for you, Ms. Paul, is there what's the type of building is this?
It's a building, that has, different tenants and different kinds of stores there. And most of these violations is for a tenant really. And we're in the process of evicting that tenant, so, and we did not receive the notice, the first notice.
Okay, who is the local agent representing the interests of the trust in Philadelphia?
We represent the trust here in Philadelphia.
Okay, how long have you been the agent on behalf of the trust?
I don't know how long Ms. Harvey's had this case. I can't
Okay,
tell you.
prior to this case, who was the local agent representing the interests of the trust?
I don't know, not to my knowledge.
Okay, because if you own investment property in the city of Philadelphia, and you don't live here, you need to have a local agent. Okay, so they didn't have an identified local agent. Alrighty, any additional argument before I entertain questions from the panel?
Only that we did not receive the initial notice. As soon as we received the notice, we filed this documentation. We would
So,
like
Ms.
an
Paul,
opportunity
when-
to be heard.
Ms. Paul, when you say we, are you representing your firm or are you representing someone from the trust?
The trust did not receive the notice.
Okay, has the trust ever received any written correspondence from Illinois regarding this matter?
In December of 2024, and that's why these documents were filed on January 7th of 2025.
In December, what address were they received?
3389 River Road, Decatur, Georgia.
Okay, and so the prior correspondence, you're saying they never received?
The violations weren't received.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Aquino, is there any record of how was there any return receipt or anything like that from the mailing?
I'm sorry, could you repeat your question?
Was there
Chairman?
any kind of proof of that the mail was delivered from the initial mailing? Like a return receipt for a certified mail or anything like that?
Not that I have for the board today. I'm
Okay,
unsure, and I don't have those records with me today.
Okay, thank you. Just one moment. Okay, thank you very much. We're back on the record.
Mr. Chairman, may the
Yes, ma'am.
city just present a brief closing argument before the board issues a decision?
Say that again, please.
May the city just present a brief closing argument before the board issues
Yes,
it?
please.
Ms. Paul testified that the final notice, that the owner did receive the final notice to that Decatur, Georgia address. That's the same address that was listed on the initial notice of violation, and that was mailed on October 22nd of 2024. Under the code, the city is required to send notices to the last known owner of the property. And the address maintained with the Office of Property Assessments is that Decatur, Georgia address. The appellant has not presented any kind of evidence demonstrating a breakdown in the administrative process that would justify granting the late appeal here. So the city does respectfully request that the late appeal be denied. Thank you.
Okay. Before we proceed to a vote, Ms. Paul, I'd give you an opportunity for final argument if you want to add anything.
Yes, I can only tell you what the client has advised us, that they did not receive a notice. Even on one of the notices, they have the address of a tenant on the notice, which is the Sturdy Shop, and it says 5126 Germantown Avenue. And so we think that initially some of the notices went to the tenant, and the tenant and the owner are in the middle of some legal proceedings right now. So we did not get the notice. The tenant didn't provide it to us. We did not get it from the city. We're only asking for an opportunity to be heard on these violations, and that our late appeal be accepted and approved.
Okay, thank you very much. With regard, we will now poll the board regarding HA 2025-0000575126 Germantown Avenue. Harper and Paul Esquire on behalf of Wilson Hudson Family Trust. Request for non-pro tunc relief granted.
Relief granted.
Request granted.
Relief granted.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. We'll move on.
Thank you.
I think that completes our matters on the non-pro tunc list. One more?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Your witnesses are excused. Number 65, my apologies. Okay, so well, let's start at the 62 and go south.
Item 62 on today's list, hearing appeal ending 5337 for the south side of Spruce Street between 8th and 9th, Nicholos Papadopoulos.
This is
Okay.
Christopher Johnson for the city of Philadelphia.
Good afternoon, Mr. Johnson. Do we have counsel for the appellant?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Michael McElhenney, counsel for the appellant.
Thank you very much. Alrighty, Mr. McElhaney, will you have your client testify, or are you going to just present argument?
I believe I can just present argument.
Okay, thank
He
you.
is here if necessary, but this is a pretty simple
Okay,
presentation.
okay. Well, given the nature of this non-pro tunc request, I'll ask you to go in reverse order, to have you go first and make the argument for the relief requested, and then we'll have the city respond.
Excellent. My client is a vending cart operator at the south side of 8th Street at Spruce. My client has represented Mr. Papadopoulos on many appeals as recently as July before this board. Mr. Papadopoulos went back to Greece in the beginning of August of 2024 and did not receive notice that L&I purportedly sent to him regarding a attempt to revoke his license. That letter from the city was dated August 27th, 2024. Mr. Papadopoulos came back from Greece on November 8th, 2024, and that notice was not in his mail. He didn't get indication that there was an issue until Stacy Jones, the inspector, advised the worker at the cart that they can't be there anymore. And that was in December. I reached out personally to Maureen Blaney and requested a copy of this letter. That letter I emailed on December 19th. Ms. Blaney got back to me on December 23rd. And I immediately filed an appeal on December 26th of the attempt to revoke the license, application nunc pro tunc, based off the fact that my client was out of the country and did not receive the letter and wouldn't have been able to since he was away at the time. I did include a copy of the plane tickets as part of the appeal, showing that he was in Greece visiting his family. He hasn't been back in a few years. So that's why the appeal is late for those two reasons. We didn't receive the letter and he was out of the country visiting family.
Okay, thank you. Any response from the city?
Yes, just briefly, in evaluating whether or not the appellant is entitled to nunc pro tunc relief, the board has to take a look and see whether there was fraud or breakdown in the administrative process that resulted in the late filing. Here, there was no fraud or breakdown by Mr. McElhenney's statements. He didn't receive the letter because he was traveling abroad for about 4 months. Now, if you don't have someone going through your mail, responding to all of your bills, all of the legal matters that may come in during that time, that's not a fraud or breakdown of the administrative process. That's something that an individual has to make preparations for, but before they decide to leave the country for 4 months. So unfortunately, the city's position here is that no relief should be granted.
Okay, thank you. Before we consider this matter, Ms. McElhaney, any final argument before we vote?
I would just like to be clear that we did not receive the letter. When he came back and went through his mail, it wasn't there, which is why I had to secure a copy from Miss Blaney herself. So it's the breakdown is it was never received.
Even if it was there, he wouldn't be entitled to relief because he wasn't able to file it because he wasn't in the country.
Okay, wait a minute. Mr. McElhaney, is it the position that you're taking is that the mail was never received by the appellant?
That's correct. We've not received it. And the copy that we attached to our appeal is actually from Maureen Blaney with her own handwritten notes on it from her file.
Okay, is the address correct?
48 North Sproul Road, Apartment B. Yes, that's correct.
Okay, but it was never, he never received it.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. All righty. All right, thank you very much. Is there any additional questions of the city or Mr. McElhenney? If not, just one moment. Okay, regarding HA 2024-005337, south side of Spruce Street, Nicholas Papadopoulos request for non-pro tunc late appeal relief granted.
Relief granted.
Relief granted.
Relief denied.
Okay, majority voters of relief granted. So that's resolves that matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you. May I be
Okay,
excused?
witnesses are excused. Okay, let's move on to the next matter.
Brings us to number 65 on today's list, sir.
Pardon me, I was handling 63 and 64. Were those already taken care of?
There were continuance requests, sir.
Okay, all right.
Yes,
thank you.
both 63 and 64 were reviewed in executive session. That's 5342, 1342 Orthodox Street was continued. 5343, 6623 Geyer Avenue will continue.
Great, thank you.
Okay,
Mr. Johnson, before you leave, you should put your name on the record as being.
Again, Christopher Johnson for the city of Philadelphia for both 63 and 64.
thank you. Okay, let's move to 65.
Yes, sir. That's hearing appeal ending 0003 for 17th Street between Market Street and Ludlow, West Side, number 193, Eugene Seraphim.
Good afternoon, Michelle Reinhardt for the city of Philadelphia, REINHART.
Good afternoon, sir, your name?
Sir. Eugene Seraphim.
Okay, thank you. Spell your last name.
SERAF is in Frank, I am as in Mike.
Okay, and before we proceed, what is your relationship to this location that's noted for today?
I am the owner and operator of a vending cart at that location.
Okay, alrighty. Okay, let's, well, I mean, the issue here is regarding your request for a relief to submit a late appeal. So according to our records, the violation was addressed to you on September 6, 2024. You didn't submit your appeal to December 31st, 2024. So what is your reasoning for being late?
I had never gotten the notice at all. I never received any notice. My mom and sister lived at the location where it was supposed to be delivered. But they both passed away in the last few years. And my niece sold the house, so we put a mailing forward on the address, but I never got any notice. The first time I got the notice was after someone came to the cart, and I contacted Maureen Blaney, and she emailed me the notice, and I filed the appeal the next day.
Okay, can you go back and give us some dates? When did you sell the property and submit the change of address?
I did not sell the property. It was my niece's property at the time.
Okay, when did you
sold-
submit the change of address?
We submitted the change of address in June of 24.
June of 2024, you submitted change of address. Okay,
I'm sorry, hold on.
okay, and beyond that, when did Ms. Blaney email you the copy of the violation notice?
That was in December
Of what year?
24.
Okay, email violation of December 2024. Okay. Alrighty, and you didn't know, when did they come to your cart and let you know that you were in violation?
They came by in September and they said, you should look out for a letter. And I figured, okay, well, I'll keep an eye out. And no such letter ever came. So I just figured it was still pending. It was still gonna be on its way.
Okay. All right, Ms. Reinhardt, any response?
Briefly, yes, thank you. On the appeal for nunc-pro-tunc relief, appellant states, I was not aware each license needed updating, indicating that some addresses there had updated mailing addresses and some did not, is the way that I understand it. I believe the testimony also is that there was a verbal notice that there was going to be a notice issued, so that there was additionally warning that there was something that should be coming in the mail. And as a result, I believe that the delay of several months here does not represent a breakdown in the administration of L&I. It represents a breakdown in the record keeping for appellant. And that is not the basis for nunc-pro-tunc relief.
Okay. Sir, based on the city statement, do you have a copy of the change of address form you submitted and dates or anything?
No, I didn't see any need to keep a copy of that.
What address are you currently showing on your license?
776 Tree Lane.
Say that again, please.
776 Tree Lane.
Is that the address you used initially when you applied for the license?
I applied for the license 40 years ago. So now the 29 Milburn was where I was raised.
Okay, so that's the address that you have been using until you submitted the
Yes.
change of address.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any additional questions from anyone?
I have a question, sir. So the change of address, did you submit that to licenses and inspections?
I changed the address. The Eclipse system, I can't say that I'm super competent in working within the Eclipse system. I did change the address in the Eclipse system, but later found out that that's not for all of my profile. I have to go into each license and change that individually.
So when you were told you were going to receive a letter and you did not receive a letter, why didn't you take some action at that time?
Again, I just thought that the administrative state didn't get to that point just yet.
Thank you.
Any additional comments? Questions? Any additional argument?
None, thank you.
Okay. Okay, here we are. We will poll the board regarding HA 2025-000003, 17th Street between Market and Ludlow Street, Eugene Seraphim. Request for non-pro-tunc relief granted.
Relief granted. Request denied.
Relief denied.
Okay, there's a contested vote. When that occurs, the city's position holds. So that means that you've been denied the request to submit a late appeal. Okay, thank you. Now you may appeal the decision of this board. If you need information as to how to do that, check with the administrator and they can give you information as to how to appeal the decision of this board. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
In the future, like, is there a certified letter that should have been sent or something?
There's a letter that every
I mean, by the city
license.
initially.
Yeah, there's
for
let
my
me
initial-
respond. There's a letter, a formal copy of the letter is sent to each license holder at the address that's given to the city. And so the letter that you got via email is the letter you should have received in the mail had the city had your proper address. Okay,
Understood, but there was no.
okay, but we're done. There's no additional argument. Okay, thank you. Okay, let us prepare to move on to our regular listing for today. Okay. Has everyone been allowed into the room, Ms. Moto?
Yes, sir. Everyone's in.
Okay, Mr. Kelly, if you're ready for us, just give me the thumbs up. Thank you. Okay, everyone, thank you everyone for your patience. We're prepared now to review our standard list for today, February 27th, 2025. Everyone thus far, other than the board itself, has been muted so that we can cut down on the background noise. What we will do is introduce ourselves, and after which we will hear from the City of Philadelphia's Law Department as to all matters that have been resolved or requests for continuances. After which we will then hear from each appellant. I just ask you, as a preliminary matter, please keep in mind that if you're not in the room here, if you're on camera, you are still in a formal hearing. So you cannot participate in the hearing. If you're in a vehicle and it's moving, you must be parked in a safe place. If you can't be in your bed or easy chair, you must be dressed appropriately and be prepared as if you were in the room with us. And so we're asking, requiring that you follow those rules in order to proceed with your matter today. Okay, we will introduce ourselves again. I'm Kenneth Woodson, board member, board chair.
Steve Pettit, board member.
Roger S. Tennant, Senior Board Member.
Beverly L. Penn, Board Member.
Ryan McSherry, Board Counsel.
Philip Motto, Boards Administration.
Thank you very much. Okay, who are we gonna hear from the city?
Good afternoon, Board. It's Christopher Johnson for the City of Philadelphia. There's a few preliminary matters that the city would like to raise as the cases that are moot. Number 7 on the list, Appeal HA 2024-001041 regarding 6165 Harley Avenue. The appeal of Frank Coppola is moot.
Number 7 is moot. Thank you.
Number 9 on the list, HA 2024-002581 with regard to 135 West Girard Avenue, appeal of Carolina Pena. The appeal is moot.
Moot. Thank you.
With regard to number 10, appeal HA-2024-002582 with regard to 143 West Girard Avenue. Again, the appeal of Carolina Pena. The appeal is moot. I'd like to call your attention to number 6. It's HA-2024-004487 with regard to 428 Master Street, 428 Master LLC. I know Attorney Roger Perry is on the call. It's the city's position that the appeal is moot. I know that there had been an appeal of they were seeking to extend a building permit that had been issued in 2019, but there was a different permit that was issued in 2021 that was completed, and the project was completed. So the city's position is it's moot unless Mr. Perry has another interpretation.
Mr. Perry, are you present?
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, just put your name on the record, sir.
Yes, my name is Roger Perry, Perry. I'm representing 428 Master Street LLC. We haven't heard anything about this, but I can share my screen and show you why this deals with permits that were issued in 2022.
Okay, wait a minute. So the appeal itself, the appeal form, does it reference the 2022 permits?
Yes.
Okay.
No, the appeal references a permit that was originally applied for in 2019, but there's a building that was built on that lot under a 2021 building permit where CO was already issued. So it should be moot.
Well, is this a matter that the two of you could resolve through a meeting rather than
Possibly.
on the record discussion?
Possibly.
Well, that's up to the city, but I mean, the problem is that we've been waiting for months and months and months.
Well, you may have been waiting, as all citizens must in this matter, but if there's a way to resolve it without putting cloud in the record, I'd rather you do that.
Okay.
Okay, so let's see if we can, Mr. Johnson, after we finish these preliminary matters, if you could get to Mr. Perry, see if we can resolve this, okay? Thank you.
Yes. With that, I'm going to hand it off to my colleagues.
Okay, as we always do, we're asking if anyone else has any preliminary matters. If you're in the room, please come forward. If not, use the raise hand sign. Okay,
Good afternoon, Michelle Reinhardt for the City of Philadelphia,
Yes.
REINHART. I would like to first draw your attention to number 12 on the list. This is appeal number HA 2024-002865 regarding 623 Fairmount Avenue. Appellant Mr. Muhara is here in the room as well. He has requested a continuance in order to obtain an attorney. That request was emailed yesterday, and the city does not object.
okay, based on the request, we granted the request when it continues.
Thank you.
In the executive session. So, sir, it's continued.
I would like to then draw the board's attention to number 13,
13,
HA 2024-002977 regarding 5937 Market Street. My understanding is that appellant's counsel emailed the board on 2/25 in order to withdraw the appeal.
okay. Is Ms. Maslin Hahn, Lori Hahn Maslin present? Okay, so basically, your representation is that it's been withdrawn by the appellant?
That's my understanding, that they reached out to board's administration.
Okay, that wasn't brought to our attention, but. So the board's administration doesn't have that information. So would you mind checking in with Ms. Maslin and confirming that? And letting us, and when we call it in regular order, you'll let us know?
Absolutely.
Okay,
And then the last administrative matter I have is number 14, appeal number HA 2024-003120 regarding 6200 North Broad Street. Appellant Sonic Convenience, Inc. My understanding is Attorney David Bermudez is taking over as new counsel of record as of yesterday, and there is a continuance request by appellant.
yes, we reviewed that request in executive session and granted.
Thank you. That concludes my administrative matters.
Thank you very much. Okay, anyone else in the room with a preliminary matter? If not, I will look to call on those who raised their hand. Ms. Aquino?
Thank you, Chairman. Maria Aquino, AQUINO, on behalf of the city. I have 3 matters to bring to the board's attention.
Okay,
The first is number 18 on the list for today. That's appeal ending 003585. Address 4420 Haverford Avenue, Gessler Construction Company, Inc. That was resolved by agreement, a city
Okay.
affirm with a $2,000 fine.
city affirmed $2,000 fine.
A copy of the agreement was forwarded to the board.
Thank you very much.
And numbers 15 and 20 on today's list, the appellants or the entities who the notices were issued to are LLCs, and we don't see that counsel has entered appearances on any of those cases. We can take it case by case. I'm wondering if
Yes,
this
let's
counsel-
take each one and
Okay.
we'll call each one and see what happens.
So first, 15 on the list, appeal ending 003303, 1430 West Girard Avenue. The appellant is Elihu Briner, and
Okay.
he's
Is anyone
representing
present, representing
BNC
Elihu?
Management LLC.
Oh, anyone present representing Elihu Brenner, 1430 West Girard Avenue? Anyone present? Mr. Moto, anyone with that name?
1 second, sir. I don't see anyone with that name in the room.
Okay, Ms. Aquino, you've said, in addition to that Brenner name, you gave it a management company's name? Who would that
Yeah,
be?
that's the who the NOVs were issued to here, BNC Management LLC.
B is in
B-
bread,
And C
Okay.
as in
BNC
Coast
Management,
Management LLC.
okay. Alrighty, let's confirm service,
Yes, sir.
Moto.
Per the appeal, Elihu Brenner, owner of BNC Management LLC, listed 302 Pembroke Road, Bala Kenwood, PA in their appeal. Notice of this hearing was sent to that address on 1/21 of 25.
Thank you very much. There's been no response. Mr. Aquino, what's your pleasure?
The city requests a city affirm for failure to appear.
Okay, Mr. Petty, what time do we have?
1:09 PM.
1:09 PM. Thank you very much. We will poll the board regarding HA 2024-003-303-1430 West Gerard Avenue, B and C Management LLC or LAU Brenner, BREINER, city affirm, non-appearance.
City affirm non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
Thank you. Let's move on to number 20, Ms. Aquino.
So number 20, that's appeal ending 002171, 2816 West Gerard Avenue, Felix Home Improvements LLC. Wondering if there's counsel representing the interest of the appellant here.
Thank you. Anyone present representing the interest of 2816 West Gerard Avenue? Carlos Felix, doing business as Felix Home Improvements LLC. Anyone present? Okay, let's confirm service.
Notice of this hearing, sir, was sent to Carlos M. Felix at 1331 Quarry Drive, Fort Washington, PA. Notice of this hearing was sent to that same address on 1/17 of 25.
Thank you very much. Hearing no response, Mr. Aquino, what is your pleasure?
City requests holding of city affirmed for failure to appear.
Thank you. Time, Mr. Pitt?
1:10 PM.
1:10 PM. Thank you very much. We will poll the board on HA 2024-002-171, 2816 West Gerard Avenue, Carlos Felix, DBA Felix Home Improvements LLC, city affirm, non-appearance.
City affirm non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
Thank you very much. That resolves those matters. Anything else, Mr. Aquino?
That concludes my business. Thank you, board.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Nesich.
Good afternoon, members of the board. A few preliminary matters for the City of Philadelphia Water Department. My name is Melanie Nezich, Knezich. If we could start at the top of the list, the matter listed as number 1, 1840 Penfield Street, HA 2024-003-552. This matter is moot.
Moot. Thank you.
Thanks. Number 2, 5528 Baltimore Ave, HA 2024-003-560. This matter, the appellant requested a continuance. The city does not oppose this request.
Okay, we reviewed that matter in executive session and granted the continuance.
Thank you. Moving on to number 3, Chairman, that would be 507 East Wildey Street, HA 2024-003-457. This matter is moot.
Moot, thank you.
And finally, number 4, 3450 Aubrey Ave, Edward Rinkowitz, HA 2024-003-394. The appellant has requested a continuance for this matter as well.
Oh.
And
okay,
the city does not oppose.
Okay, we discussed this matter and was noted as withdrawn in executive session, so we just need to confirm which status we want to attach to it. Mr. Mayor, if
Okay.
you could check.
We definitely received the withdrawal for that.
The board's administration received a withdrawal for that matter.
Understood. Thank you for the update.
Yeah, so we will note it as.
Hello.
withdrawn. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. That concludes my matters for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, I'm not sure who this is, sir, but you're interrupting the hearing. Well, why are you interrupting the hearing?
I'm so sorry. I was just on the call meeting. My neighbor was calling and I keep answering hello, but nobody could hear me. I'm Mr. Carlos Felix from Felix Home Improvement.
Yes, you didn't respond, so we voted to dispose of that matter. So hold on, we'll get back to you. I believe the
All right,
lawyer
thank
who
you so much.
represented- Well, I'm not sure what we can do today. We've already voted, but hold on for a moment. Let's
Thank
finish
you.
out.
Thank you. Yeah.
Mr. John Rizoric.
Good afternoon, board members. Just 2 preliminary matters I'd like to raise to your attention. First is number 16 on the list, appeal ending 003440 for the property located at 1255 Leopard Street. The appellant is Fred Longo III. The city reached an agreement with the appellant, and that can be marked as city affirmed with a reduced fine of $1,000.
Thank you very much.
And secondly, number 19 on the list, appeal ending 003595 for the property located at 1916 Bainbridge Street. The appellant is Dornelis Excavation Incorporated. I just wanted to raise that this appeal was filed by corporation and there is no attorney listed.
Okay. Is anyone present representing the interests of 1916 Bainbridge Street, Dornelis Excavation Incorporated? Anyone present? Anyone present? Okay. Would you confirm service,
Yes, sir.
please?
Appellants listed 501 Cambria Avenue, number 233, Ben Salem, PA, in their appeal. Notice of this hearing was sent to P.O. Box 45908, Philadelphia, PA.
Okay.
It appears it was sent to a different address, so we cannot confirm good service, sir.
Okay, based on that, we need to confirm service, Mr. Zorik, so we aren't going to proceed with this today.
Understood.
So we'll continue this matter to resolve the matter of service, okay?
Thank you, Chairman Woodson.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any preliminary matter to review? Okay, we do need to go back then to, let's see here, number 20, Carlos Felix. Mr. Felix, you weren't present when we called your name. Did you?
I was on the phone. I was on the phone, but I think I had a bad reception in the location where I'm at. And I keep saying hello, hello.
Okay, wait a minute, sir. We need to see you. Activate your video.
How to activate my video, honey? How I can activate my video?
How can he activate his video? Or FaceTime?
Are you there?
Well, you're waiting for you.
Hello?
Yeah, how
Sorry.
to activate my video? I can't from my phone for some reason.
I'm not, can IT help at all?
Oh.
Can he see what? Take off the speaker and put it on video.
No.
Okay, this is what we're gonna do. Mr. Aquino, Mr. Felix has signed on,
Yeah.
and we've already voted to dispose of his case. Mr. Felix, we don't know who you are and we can't see you. But also, there's a matter, you have to listen to me now. The other matter is that you are a corporation, correct? You're LLC, is that correct?
Yes.
So you need an attorney. You can't represent yourself at these hearings.
I can represent myself for
No,
for
did
this
you read
hearing.
the violation clearly says if you are an LLC, you must have an attorney to represent you at these hearings. So this is what you have to do. We've already decided on your matter because you didn't respond when we called your name. So you need to hire an
Yeah.
attorney, and your attorney can ask that we reconsider the decision that we've made. Understood?
Yes.
Ms. Aquino, any comment, response to that?
No, thank you, Chairman.
Okay, so just one moment.
Yes. I can do.
Doesn't matter, you know. It's cheaper to pay $3,000.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, this is where we're headed, Mr. Felix, based on
Yes.
advice from counsel. We're gonna recall this matter, HA 2024-002171, 2816 West Gerard Avenue. The previous decision rendered at 1:10 PM of city affirmed non-appearance must stricken from the record. We will, however, continue this matter so that Mr. Felix can acquire legal counsel. Understood?
Okay,
Mr.
thank you so much.
Okay, so we're gonna continue this matter. You gotta go hire a lawyer and come back.
Thank you. And
Okay,
then
so-
I'm gonna be receiving an email with all this information, correct?
Yes, if you was give an email, talk to a lawyer as quickly as you can. And if you can't operate your device, please come in to the hearing room.
To the hearing room. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Quino, for coming back.
Thank you, board members.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else have any preliminary matters to be considered? Okay, so what's our first matter for today?
First item on the list, sir, is item number 5, hearing appeal ending 3582-6948 Frankfurt Avenue. Michael DiGiulio is the appellant.
Okay, who's representing the city?
Hello, Alexandra Nielsen on behalf of the city.
Good afternoon. Anyone present representing Mr. Michael DiGiulio?
Chairman, Kathleen Gaskell is here with Mr. Michael DiGiulio.
Okay, Ms. Gaskell, are you an attorney?
Yes, I am, sir.
Okay, so I just need you to formally put your name on the record so we know who you are.
Okay, this is Kathleen McGill Gaskell, and this counsel for Michael DiGiulio.
Okay, and your last name is spelled?
Gaskill, sir.
Okay, thank you. Alrighty, will Mr. DiGiulio testify today?
If you have questions for him, yes, and he's right here if you want to swear him in.
Okay, I'll swear him in if you call him as a witness. I'll do that then.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Nielsen, do you have any witnesses today?
No.
No witnesses?
No.
Okay. So let's begin then. Okay, Ms. Nielsen.
Yes, as far as opening remarks for this case, the attorney for the city previously assigned to this matter recently went out on maternity leave, and I've recently taken over the case. I understand that the issue here is the taxpayer just really needs to speak to a representative from the Department of Revenue Taxpayer Services, and they've been going through some difficulties getting somebody to reach out to them and be responsive. Since receiving the case yesterday, I've reached out to my contacts in the Department of Revenue, and I'm trying to get a specific contact person for Mr. DiGiulio. But I will turn it over to opposing counsel to see if that is the crux of the issue, if there's another issue that sort of needs to be resolved here in regards to licensing.
Okay, wait a minute. So before we do hear from Ms. Gaskell, it doesn't appear that the city is prepared to proceed at this point with the hearing. Ms. Nielsen?
I would hate to continue it, but just because I know the taxpayer has been working or trying to work with the Department of Revenue for a while, but
Ms. Nielsen, you learned that in this process, we use very direct answers and responses. So are you prepared to proceed or not?
yes,
Okay, you have witnesses ready to call?
no.
Oh, so you aren't prepared. Okay, Ms. Gaskell, would your client benefit from a conversation between you and Ms. Nielsen?
I think we would. Again, I think we would because we were halfway through a process and then the tax analyst left. We paid everything that was claimed to be due just simply to get the revocation order lifted from his store. So we double paid. So this is I don't know if this is something that really even warrants this board's attention. It's just we need somebody to look at all the documentation, the canceled checks, everything.
Okay,
that
well,
was
let's do this. Based on your testimony and Ms. Nielsen's representation, we will continue this matter to allow you, the two of you, to talk to maybe resolve this matter, not have to come back to us. How's that?
That sounds wonderful.
Ms. Nielsen, the record would note that this matter has been continued.
Yes, and before I go off, could I get a contact, name and telephone number?
Yes, Ms. Gaskell, I actually sent you an email with my information maybe 30 minutes ago, but let me know if you didn't get it.
Okay, we'll do. All righty, thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day. Okay, what's our next matter?
Next matter is number 6 on the list. Hearing appeal ending 4487 for 428 Master Street, 428 Master LLC, Roger Perry Esquire.
Hi
Hi,
again.
it's Christopher Johnson for the city of Philadelphia. I had a chance to discuss this with Mr. Perry. This is a issue related to a request to extend a building permit that expired last July. We're asking for a brief continuance in order to reach out to Plans Review to discuss the project and to see whether the department would be agreeable to extending the permit or reinstating the permit. It's a single lot where there was 7 condominiums built, and there was a building B on the permit in question that work never started on. But they're in that next phase of the project. So I'd like to have some time to reach out to the department and see if they can reinstate the permit.
Okay, Mr. Perry, are you okay with that?
Yeah, if we're gonna have hopefully a brief continuance and make sure that the case 4487 is not marked moot, it's pending.
Okay, so we will, HA 2024-004487, 428 Master Street will be noted as continued.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
I'll be in touch, Chris.
Thank you.
Calling your attention, sir, to item number 8 on today's list. Hearing appeal ending 1651 for the area of JFK Boulevard between 15th and 16th Street on the south side, number 153. Sakinder Khan is the appellant. And there should be a Pakistani or Pashto interpreter in the room. Do we have an
Okay.
interpreter?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay,
Yes, we do, sir.
all right, ma'am, just for a moment, we'll get back to you in a moment. Who's the, city council?
It's Christopher Johnson, the
Mr.
city of
Johnson?
Philadelphia.
Okay, ma'am, would you raise your right hand so that you may be sworn? Give us your full name, spell your last name first.
My name is Ariba Khan, and my last name is Paldas, K as in kangaroo, H as in Henry, A as in apple, N as in Nancy.
Okay, Mr. Kelly, did you get that?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, thank you. All right, ma'am, raise your right hand so that you may be sworn. Do you swear or affirm that you will faithfully translate between English and Pashto, to English for this matter concerning 15th Street, 16th Street, South Side, number 153, Sakinder Khan?
Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you. So ma'am,
You're
you can put your hand down. So from this point forward, until this is resolved, we need you to repeat everything that's said in English in Pashto. And if
Of
there are
course.
any responses, to respond to us in English, okay?
Of course.
All right, thank you. So let's formally read this matter into the record.
Sama da dakar chidewas mga pa-record kirawalu.
This is hearing appeal ending 1651 for the area of JFK Boulevard between 15th and 16th Street on the south side. Number 153, Sakinder Khan is the appellant.
Dada uredo apil de Boulevard pilnasam nawalash parasam galay pamanski kamachi da south tarapta de yawsal dri panzos da Sikandar Khan da para kamachi dalta ki appellant samuksara mawjuda de.
Okay, who's representing the city again?
Christopher Johnson for the city of Philadelphia. And
Wait, Ms. Khan, you didn't interpret that.
Yes, sorry. Dalta ki chi kama city kama dalta ki shoke agad Mr. Khan da para chide city of Philadelphia da Mr. Johnson mawjuda de.
Okay, all right, Mr. Johnson, any witnesses?
The city has one witness, but before we get there, this is a matter that I received a voicemail message yesterday from Mr. Khan's son. Mr. Khan.
So of course,
Yep.
we need the interpreter to catch up with you.
Mhm. Ha da yo de sikarde chipadi ki zamungsara ya voicemail mungta milaw shabe de parun da Mr. Khan da zwi da taraf na. Mr. Khan zwi chide kama.
The message I got informed me that Mr. Khan was out of the country in Pakistan right now. And
کومه مسج چې ماته راغلی دی پای کې ماته دا معلومات راکړی شوي دي چې مسټر خان په دې وخت کې د ملک نه بهر دی او په دې وخت کې په پاکستان کې موجوده دی.
Okay,
And was asking to continue the matter.
او هغې دا التماس کړی دی چې کومه کار چې روان دی هغه دې جاري وساتي.
I informed, well, I called this morning and left a voicemail for Mr. Khan's son at the number he left, stating that he had to appear today to ask for a continuance. I had not the power to grant such a continuance, and that if no one appeared, the matter would likely be dismissed.
ما نن سهار کومه شمیره چې ماله راکړې شوې وه په هغې باندې دا معلومات پرېښودله چې مسټر خان له موجوده ده چې نن موجوده یي په دې وخت کې که دا جاري ساتي د هغې دپاره ولې چې زما څه دا طاقت زه نه لرم چې تاسو له دا کار جاري په خپله وساتم.
okay, we have not yet heard from Mr. Khan, so is Mr. Khan present?
مونږ اوسه پورې مسټر خان نه څه اورېدلي نه دي. مسټر خان موجوده ده دلته کې؟
Anyone else present to represent the interests of 15th Street and 16th Street, South Side, number 153?
بل څوک موجوده شته دی دلته کې چې 15 سټریټ نه والا 14 ګلی پورې ساوث ساید شمیره 1-350 دپاره موجوده یي دلته کې؟
Anyone present representing Sikander Khan?
څوک موجوده شته دی سکندر خان په ځای باندې؟
Okay. Alrighty, let's confirm service.
Sure. The appellant Sikander Khan listed 111 Mildred Lane, Aston, PA in their appeal. Notice of this hearing was sent to that same address on 121 of 25.
زموږ سره چې کوم اپیرنټ موجوده و مسټر سکندر خان میلرډ یو باندې چې کومه موجوده و هغې دپاره دا هیرینګ لیږلی شوی دی هم په دغه اډرس باندې کومه چې 121 دی د 15
Mr. Johnson, no one is responding. What is your pleasure?
The matter should be
Mr.
marked as city affirmed.
Ma'am, do I
دلته
need
کې
to
څوک
re-
موجوده نه
do
دلته
I
کې
need to
څوک
repeat
موجوده
the
نه
statement? Yeah.
It's fine, I would interpret that. مسټر جان دلته کې څوک موجوده دی نو تاسو به څه وایئ؟ زه به دا وایم چې کومه سټیټمنټ اخیستلی شوی و هغه ها شولو.
Mr. Petty, what time do we have?
1:31 PM.
مسټر زموږ سره مسټر پیټي زموږ دلته وخت څه دی؟ وخت دی 1:01 د پاسه د غرمې.
Okay, we will now poll the board.
مونږ اوس بورډ راولو.
HA-2024-001651.
HA 2040-001-15.
JFK Boulevard between 15th and 16th Street.
د JFK بولاوارډ 15 او 14 ګلۍ په منځ کې.
South Side, number 153.
کومه چې ساوث ساید ته موجوده دی شمیره 1-350.
Sikander Khan.
سکندر خان.
City affirmed non-appearance.
سیټي دا ورکړله چې هغه موجوده نه دی.
City affirmed non-appearance.
سیټي وایي چې هغه موجوده نه دی.
City affirmed non-appearance.
سیټي وایي چې هغه موجوده نه دی.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
سیټي وایي چې هغه موجوده نه دی.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. That resolves that matter and closes this case. Thank you, interpreter. Have a good afternoon.
You're welcome, you too. Goodbye.
Bye. Mr. Moto, what do we have next?
Item number 11 on the list, sir, hearing appeal ending 2844-4617 North 5th Street, Family Dollar Stores of Pennsylvania LLC. Looks like there was an update for Ruben Perez Esquire to be the attorney.
Okay, who's representing the city?
Good afternoon, Michelle Reinhardt for the City of Philadelphia.
Good afternoon. Is Mr. Ruben Perez present?
Yes, good afternoon. Ruben Perez of Fox Rothschild on behalf of Family Dollar Stores of Pennsylvania LLC.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Perez, do you have any witnesses for today?
No, I do not.
Okay, Ms. Reinhardt, do you have any witnesses?
Yes, Ms. Wilkins for the City of Philadelphia.
Thank you very much. Ms. Wilkins, would you raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you very much. Alrighty, we will proceed then with Ms. Reinhardt.
Thank you, Board. Just to start out as a preliminary statement, this is a denial of a tobacco retailer renewal permit regarding 4617 North Fifth Street. Ms. Wilkins, can you please introduce yourself to the board?
Jody Wilkins for the City of Philadelphia Health Department, sanitarian supervisor.
And what do you do as a sanitarian supervisor?
I oversee the program for tobacco sales to those under 21 and minors, as well as oversee the issuance of tobacco retailer permits for the sell tobacco and cigarette products.
Okay, with the board's permission, I am going to share the city's exhibits.
Yes.
Okay, please let me know if you can see just what has been marked City Exhibit A on the screen. It's only the title page.
Yes.
Okay. Moving to City Exhibit A, this is labeled a denial of application for 2024 tobacco retailer permit dated June 4th, 2024. Do you recognize this letter?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell us what this is? Let me know if I should zoom in more closely.
Yes, if you could bring it up a little bit wider, thank you. Okay, that's better. So this is a denial of a 2024 tobacco retailer permit for Family Dollar Store 26739 4617 North Fifth Street, due to having 3 tobacco sale violations in 2 years.
Okay, and you, first of all, is there information on this letter itself indicating that there were 3 incidents of violations within 2 years?
Yes, right in the middle of the letter, it states the 3 separate violations that occurred.
Are you referencing in the middle of the page, there are a list of 4 dates with descriptions next to them?
Yes.
Okay, and you described it as 3, I believe, instances of violations. Can you tell us how you are counting them?
Yeah, so June 21, 2022, with that, is considered 1. And then 4/3/23, has 2 next to them. That was a sale to a minor and without ID. That's considered 1 violation that happened the same day. And then 6/5/2023 is just sell to a minor, so that was just the 1.
And the way that these violations are counted, it is by whether there is an incident on the date rather than the number of violations or tickets issued in total, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And under the code, can you give us a little bit more information of how it is written? It's that there are not 2 or more instances of violation, or more than 2 instances of violations within a 2-year period?
Say that question again, I'm sorry.
Help us to understand, under the code, is it correct that a tobacco retailer permit may not be renewed when there are more than 2 instances of violations within a 2-year period?
Yeah, yes, correct. It has to be more than 2.
Okay. Can you tell us what those violations were specifically here? I understand that you already gave the dates, but if you could just give a little bit more detail.
On 6/21/22 was a tobacco sale without ID. And then that CVN number is listed there. Do you want me to cite the CVN number as well?
Not at this time, unless the board would like us to circle back for that.
So that was the first incident. Second one was April the 3rd, 2023. That is a sell tobacco to a minor. And then also on 4/23, there was a sell tobacco without ID. And so that's considered the second incident. Then the third one, June 5th, 2023, is a sell tobacco to minor. And that's the third incident.
Okay, moving to City Exhibit B. Oh my goodness. I'm just gonna check one thing briefly. Okay, City Exhibit B is blank. Moving to City Exhibit C. These are the code violation notices that correspond to the violations that you just referenced in the denial letter?
Correct.
Okay. And these were sent to the permit holder?
This was issued to the permit holder at the store, so it was hand delivered.
Moving down to City Exhibit D. First of all, did you review whether there
Excuse
were?
me, Ms. Reinhardt, would you make that larger, please?
I can in just a moment. Ms. Wilkins,
Thank you.
did you look to see if there were any administrative appeals of any of the site violation notices that you just described?
Yes, that's correct. I did.
Were there any
No,
administrative appeals filed for any of them?
no,
Okay, were any of those site violation notices paid?
all three were paid. All three violations were paid, including the second ticket that was dated based on the April 3rd violation.
Okay, I am zooming in to, is this the a screenshot of the database where you get the information regarding payment?
Yes.
Okay. What did you find as to the payment status of each of these tickets?
Each CVN that corresponds to the ones that won the letter were all paid.
Can you tell us what the legal effect of a paid ticket under the code is?
Is an admission of guilt.
Okay. I'm going to zoom back out just briefly in order to go down to City Exhibit E. This is a copy of the tobacco regulations. Ms. Wilkins, is this what you enforce?
Yes.
Okay. I have nothing further.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Perez, any cross-examination?
No cross-examination, but the appellant just has specific, I guess, statements that it would like to make with respect to the appeal and the consideration by the board of the appeal.
Okay, just for a moment. Just want to see if Ms. Reinhardt had any additional witness or any redirect.
None, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Perez, you can call your witness.
It's not a witness, it's merely just statements with respect to the appeal, Chairman.
Wait. So let's, so you don't have anyone physically prepared to testify on your behalf, correct? On
That's
behalf of your
correct.
client.
That's
So
correct.
what you want to read into the record, what is that?
It's the specific reasons for the appeal as stated in the appeal application that was submitted to the board
Okay,
on.
we have that and we know what that is. So the issue here is whether or not there's an argument, legal argument as to why we shouldn't support the city's position. Do you have a legal argument to make?
Chairperson, the only thing that we would say is just that with respect to the sales that were done, the employees who were the individuals who had sold those products are no longer with the company. There are new employees which have been trained with respect to the same, and we're essentially requesting any discretion that the board may have with respect to this matter to allow for the appellant to continue to or to essentially be able to apply for its license. All tickets as the city has shown have been paid. The store currently, my understanding from my client is that they don't have any tobacco products in the store, and so they're just respectfully requesting for that discretion.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Reinhardt, any final argument?
In this situation, I would say that the facts are pretty straightforward. There were more than 2 incidents of violations within a 2-year period. They are undisputed, as council just acknowledged, and was also admitted on the appeal form to this board. As a result, under the Philadelphia Code, the health department does not have the authority to issue a renewal permit in this instance. And for that reason, I would respectfully request that the decision be city affirmed.
Okay, thank you very much. We will now poll the board regarding H8. Just one moment. Regarding HA 2024-002844, 4617 North Fifth Street, Family Dollar Stores of Pennsylvania, city affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
Thank you. The vote is unanimous, city affirmed. Mr. Perez, as you are aware, you may appeal our decision to the Court of Common Pleas. Thank you very much for your participation. The witnesses are excused.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Definitely. Okay, what's our next matter?
Item number 13, sir, hearing appeal ending 2977-5937 Market Street, Young's Place Incorporated. Lori Han Moslin, Esquire.
Okay, who's representing the city?
Good afternoon, Board. Michelle Reinhardt for the City of Philadelphia. Since the administrative list was called, I have obtained a copy of the withdrawal letter sent on February 25th, 2025 from Counsel for Appellant. I believe it was also forwarded to Mr. Wade of Board's Administration.
Got an email from Miss Frank about Lucy.
Okay,
Chris,
so we
you
will.
are
She was involved in an
muted.
incident.
Chris, you are not
Okay.
muted. Chris?
He's
Okay.
muted, sir.
All right, thank you. So we will note this matter as withdrawn.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay,
That brings us to item 17 on today's list, sir. That's hearing appeal ending 3473 for the property 1950 South 15th Street. Devis, I'll spell the last name, GJUZI, doing business as A&P Construction LLC, Henry Clinton Esquire.
okay, who's representing the city?
That's John Wazorek, WIE, C as in cat, Z as in zebra, OREK, on behalf of the city.
Thank you very much. Is anyone present representing A&P Construction LLC?
Mr. Chairman, I am Henry Clinton.
Oh, good afternoon, sir. Will you have any witnesses today?
Yes, sir. The principal of the company, Dennis Jizzy,
Okay,
GJUZI.
okay, Mr. Now, the first name, is it Devis or Dennis?
Devis with a V.
Okay, sir, would you raise your right hand so that you may be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you. You can place your hand down. Okay, who's, Mr. Bazark, you have any witnesses today?
Yes, Inspector Mark Slade will be testifying.
Right
I
here.
don't see him yet. Oh, there he is. Okay, Mr. Slade,
Yes.
do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today? The right hand.
Yes.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you very much. You can place your hand down. Okay, Mr. Resort, you may proceed.
Thank you, Chairman Woodson. Just as brief introduction, today's appeal deals with a licensing violation notice issued to A&P Construction. This is a violation issued to the contractor. It's a licensing violation notice. And at this time, I'd just like to call Inspector Slade to testify.
Thank you.
Inspector Slade, could you unmute, please?
There you go.
Thanks, Inspector. Are you employed, Inspector Slade?
Yes.
Who are you employed by?
Department of Licenses and Inspections.
And do you work with a certain unit within the department?
Yes. Audits and Investigation Unit,
How long have you worked with the Audits and Investigations Unit?
about 25 months. No, I'm
And-
sorry, less than that, about 18 months, excuse me.
No problem. What does the Audits and Investigations Unit do?
We audit and inspect, go out to job sites, looking for checking for license violations. And we make sure the contractors on site, all the contractors on site have the proper OSHA cards, licenses, are uploaded and, valid, and, insurances, all their insurances must be uploaded and valid.
Thank you, Inspector Slade. So just turning to the appeal in question today, are you familiar with the property located at 1950 South 15th Street?
Yes, I am.
Have you performed any inspections at that property?
Yes, I did.
And did you issue a licensing violation notice regarding that property?
Yes.
Would you recognize that document if you saw it?
Yes.
Permission to share my screen, Chairman Woodson?
Yes.
Excuse me.
Is that large enough? Oh, we'll
I
see.
didn't say it.
Thanks, Inspector. So Inspector Slade, is this the licensing violation notice that we spoke about?
Yes.
And who was this licensing violation notice issued to?
A&P, what does it say? A prime contractor performing construction work.
And when was this licensing violation notice issued?
7/24/24.
And could you just briefly describe the difference between a licensing violation notice and a notice of violation?
Licensing violation notice, the contractor, this is for a no subcontractor list. It's for, after 3 days after the initial inspection, you're required to have a subcontractor list uploaded in Eclipse.
Inspector Slade, not to cut you off, so just generally the difference between the licensing violation notice and this more standard notice of violation that are issued.
Oh, okay. Our licensing violation notice goes right to the contractor, and you have 30 days to appeal it. Where like a standard one, I think it's 75 days to appeal it, and they average about $300.
Okay, and so was A&P Construction LLC, were they the contractor for this property?
Yes.
Okay, and so we can go through these violations. Could you just generally speak about the violations that were issued to A&P?
Yes, the one there is the no subcontractor list was uploaded 3 days after the initial inspection.
So a question about that violation, is it, as the code language says, it's 3 business days after the commencement of work?
Yes.
For uploading that subcontractor list, correct?
Yes.
Is that 3 days after the commencement of work by the subcontractor or by anyone working at the site?
At the initial site inspection where the contractor meets their inspector out on site to go over the scope of work and the things needed to perform the work safely and properly.
And so 3 days after that is when the subcontractor list needs to be uploaded.
Yes.
And then there are 5 violations. What is this OSHA related violation for?
The workers on site did not have a OSHA 10 violations, which required.
Yeah, I think you misspoke. Do you mean an OSHA 10 card?
OSHA 10 card, yeah, sorry, OSHA 10 card.
And there are 5 violations here for that specific type of violation, correct?
Yes.
And then finally, this last violation, could you describe, it says deviation from general notes, just briefly describe what that violation's for?
Yeah, they went over the scope of work by what they removed, which was causing the walls to look like it was going to collapse, and that's when CSU was called out.
Okay, and so would you recognize, let me roll back for a second. Did you take any pictures when you went out to the property located at 1950 South 15th Street?
Yes, I took many.
Would you recognize those pictures?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to turn to Exhibit B. Is this the property?
Yes,
So this is 1950 South 15th Street, correct?
yes.
And just briefly, what prompted you to go out to this property?
CIU was out there first, or CSU. I
Could
think.
you let the board know? what
Construction
CSU is?
Services Unit.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Construction Services Unit notified my manager and supervisor to go out there because the work was going on to verify the contractors were licensed and insured.
Okay.
And do
and
my
so,
audit.
so again, this is just the property when you went out there, correct?
Yes,
And so turning to this next picture, do you remember taking this picture?
yes.
And do you remember when you took this picture, what the date was?
July 18th, 2024.
And in terms of the violations, do you know which violation these pictures are in support of?
Yes, that one has two no OSHA. I asked them for their OSHA cards and they couldn't produce them to me.
So
They
you
told me they
asked
didn't have them.
both of the individuals in the center of this photo for their OSHA cards, and they did not provide OSHA cards?
No, they didn't.
Turning to this next picture, did you ask this individual for his OSHA card?
Yes, he was also working on site. Yes, I did.
And did he provide the OSHA card?
No, he did not.
And one more here, did you ask this individual for their OSHA card?
Yes, he wouldn't provide it. No, in fact, he wouldn't even answer me.
And he was working on the site at the time of your
Yes.
inspection, correct?
Yes.
And then I believe we have one more. Do you recognize this individual in taking this picture?
Yes. Yes.
And did you ask this individual for their OSHA card?
Yes, I did.
And did you get a OSHA card in response to your request?
No, he told me no, is all he said.
And so just to go over these last 4 pictures, there were 5 individuals who you requested their OSHA card and they did not provide their OSHA 10 card.
Correct.
And they were working on the site at the time of your inspection, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Turning to City Exhibit C, Inspector Slade, you took additional photos from within the property, is that correct?
Yes.
Would you recognize those photos if you saw them?
Yes.
Is this one of the pictures you took inside the property?
Yes, it is.
Was work going on during your inspection?
Well, when I got there, they stopped working because CSU came on scene and an engineer came on scene.
But your
So-
understanding is that work had been going on that day?
Oh, yes, they were working when I got there. They were in the dwelling.
And so the construction services unit or CSU, they had stopped the work from continuing, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and so I'm just gonna scroll through these. These are just additional pictures you took of the property. Could you just confirm that you took these pictures when I go to each one?
Yes, I did.
Did you take this photograph?
Yes, I did.
Did you take this photograph?
Yes, I did.
And this photograph?
Yes, I did.
And I think we got one more. So did you take this photograph?
Yes, I did.
And so after inspection of the property, are you aware that a subcontractor list had been uploaded for the building permit at the property?
The building subcontractor list was uploaded on July 22nd of 24.
But your inspection was July 18th, correct?
Yes, correct.
And so at that time, there was no subcontractor list uploaded, correct?
No, there wasn't.
Are you aware if the Audit and Investigation Unit sent out an email to the contractor requesting a subcontractor list?
Yes, they did.
Would you recognize that document if you saw it?
Yes, I would.
And so is that this email from your department for the subcontractor list?
Yes, it is.
And regarding the subcontractor list, is failure to respond to this email its own violation?
Yes, it's a separate violation.
So just to be clear, there's one violation for not having the subcontractor list uploaded within 3 business days of starting work, correct?
Yes.
But there could also be another violation if there's a failure to respond to this audit request, correct?
Yes, if he failed to respond, yes.
And just looking back at the licensing violation notice we saw, there was no violation for failure to respond to the audit request, correct?
Yes, no, there wasn't.
So is it fair to say that they did respond to the audit request with a
Oh,
subcontractor
yes.
list?
Yes,
And so turning to this picture here, this is the subcontractor list provided by the contractor, correct?
yes, it is.
And could you just tell me what the start date?
Mr. Resort, would you mind making that larger, please?
Yes, of course, Chairman. Could you just tell the board what the start date for this construction permit was?
January 15th, 2022.
And so again, from the commencement of work, they had 3 business days to upload a subcontractor list. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, and just one more set of pictures. Inspector Slade, I appreciate your patience. Turning to Exhibit D, we talked briefly about a construction services unit case at the property, correct?
Yes, correct.
Would you recognize the notice of violation regarding that case if you saw it?
Yes, I would.
But you did not issue that, correct? Because you were not.
No, I didn't issue them violations.
Okay. So just to confirm, you do recognize this is the violation notice for the CSU case, correct?
Yes, it is.
I'm going to object to this line of questioning. We're not here for this violation notice. It's been satisfied and complied with.
Okay, so noted. We will,
Just as a brief response, Chairman Woodson,
yes.
this is going to the final violations cited by AIU within their case file. The city agrees with Mr. Clinton that this violation notice and these violations have been satisfied. This is to prove the last violation that was issued to the contractor in the AIU case file.
Oh, okay, well, just limited that, then we'll take due note of that, okay? So we
Understood.
overrule the objection. Let's move through that.
And so, Inspector Slade, when you went to the property, you were aware that CSU had been out to the property, correct?
They actually were there when I was there.
And why was CSU at the property?
They were concerned that the construction services unit made a phone call. They were concerned that with the chimney leaning and the way the back wall and the side wall were leaning on the corner property, they were in fear that it was going to collapse.
Okay, and did you have a chance to review the construction services case file regarding this property?
Yes, I looked over it.
Would you say that those records are kept in the Eclipse system, correct?
Yes, everything's kept there.
And that's the system-wide or the department-wide record keeping for the Department of Licenses and Inspection, correct?
Yes, correct.
And so these are just records kept in the ordinary course of business.
Yes.
Would you recognize those pictures if you saw them?
Yes, I would.
So I'm just going to scroll through these briefly. Give me 1 second. So again, this is a picture of the property that you reviewed in the CSU case file, correct?
Yes, correct.
So this photo was not taken by you, but it is in the overall Eclipse system, correct?
Yes, it wasn't taken by me.
And again, this is the 1950 South 15th Street property?
Yes, correct.
Objection. It says at the bottom, 1946 South 15th Street.
Okay, noted, Mr. Resort, would you bring some clarity to the issue of the address, please?
I think Inspector Slade would actually be better equipped to respond to that. Inspector Slade, is that something that, how do these picture locating systems work?
Well, it's very common. It's when you turn your phone on, your camera on, it has the timestamp that you're looking at. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's off by a little bit. Sometimes it's showing around the corner. And then as you walk, sometimes it changes. So that's probably why.
You're not inputting that address when you take the picture. That's just automatically done.
That's just automatically in the picture.
Okay, thank you.
But it's on 15th Street, 1900 block of 15th Street where the incident, 1950s is where that building is. That says 1946, which is 2 down to the right.
But again, you recognize this as 1950 South 15th Street.
Yes.
Chairman Woodson, do you want to rule on the objection?
Yeah, overrule.
And And just again, Inspector Slade, is this a photograph of 1950 South 15th Street?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
And you alluded to the chimney leaning at the property, is that correct?
Yes, the construction services unit inspector went up the ladder that you see here. And when he got up there, he could see he was starting to break. I don't know if he said he was breaking away, but it was leaning, and you could see he was leaning pretty good. And that's when Inspector Kelly from contract services unit, construction services unit, excuse me, seen that and made the phone call because he was worried about that too.
Okay, and just again, I don't think we need too much testimony, but is this the top floor of 1950 South 15th Street?
Yes.
And so this was the freestanding wall at issue, correct?
Yes.
Just generally, were you comfortable in this building?
Oh, I didn't go upstairs at all. No.
Why did you not go upstairs?
The pocket joist, a lot of them were actually not even all the way in the wall. So you couldn't tell if they either cut them
Objection
short.
this line of testimony. We're here for the other violation, not
Okay.
for this violation. This violation's been cured.
Thank you, sir. That's sustained. So move on, sir.
Inspector Slade, I'm just gonna move to Exhibit E. Are you aware of the plans that were submitted for this permit, the structural plans?
I looked over the plans, yes, but I'm not the actual inspector, so I don't look at them constantly during my inspections.
And you're not a structural engineer either, correct?
No, not at all.
Okay, so I want to turn your attention, and if everyone can indulge me for a second, I want to blow this specific piece up. Inspector Slade, could you just read under the general section, number 4 of these plans?
Contractor shall provide temporary shoring and bracing as required to properly construct the building.
Thank you, Inspector. So just briefly, this is what the plans say, right? That this temporary shoring and bracing would be provided or where required.
Yes, correct.
But you're not a structural engineer, so in general, would you say that you have a strong feeling of when shoring and bracing would be required?
No, I don't as a building inspector, but there was none at all. So there was none at all. So.
And the fact that a imminently dangerous case was written for this property, do you believe that shoring and bracing may have prevented that violation from being written?
Objection to the objection. He just said he doesn't have anything idea about shoring and bracing. Now council's asking him to opine.
Chairman Woodson, this is regarding.
I'd like you to restate that, please.
Understood, Chairman. So Inspector Slade, the fact that a imminently dangerous case was written for this property, right?
Yes.
That means that whatever work was done was imminently dangerous, correct?
Correct.
And so is it fair to say that if temporary shoring and bracing was provided, it may have prevented this case from being marked imminently dangerous?
I would say so.
Objection to the question, Mr. Chairman. He did not inspect the building. He doesn't have the qualification to inspect the building, and he just said he's not a shoring and bracing expert. So
Okay.
how can you
Chairman
opine?
Woodson,
Wait a minute. I hear the objection, but he's responding to the existing violation that was written on the building.
But he didn't
But
write
as
that
someone-
violation. He had nothing to
He
do with that
didn't, you're
violation.
absolutely right. So, but I'm going to overrule your objection in this instance. Let's proceed.
Thank you, sir.
so just to return to what the actual violation said, Inspector Slade. Oh, we're upside down, 1 second. The actual licensing violation notice that you wrote, this is the last one. This is the deviation from the notes, correct?
Yes.
And that was because you wrote this violation because there was no temporary shoring and bracing,
There was no
correct?
temporary shoring in place according to the approved plans.
No further questions, Chairman Woodson. I
Thank
offer
you.
Inspector Slade for cross.
Okay, any cross-examination?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
Mr. Slade, I'll start at the end. Can you show me on the plans where it says temporary shoring is required?
There are no plans up.
Would you like me to pull those up, Mr. Clinton?
You can, but I don't know if they're the building plans. You can pull them up. No, they won't be.
Right, so all this isn't this a general note on the first page of the plans on page SOO?
Yes, it is a
Okay,
general
so
note.
if there's no plan as part of the building plans that indicates that shoring is required, then it's not required if it's not in the plans.
That's not true. It says in here, contractors provide temporary shoring and bracing as required. The contractor should know where his bracing and shoring should be placed when he has a freestanding wall on the corner end of a property.
Okay, but isn't that number 4 a matter of interpretation as required by whom? If the general contractor is on the job and he has men working there and he's made a determination that it's fine, then why isn't that sufficient if it says as required and there's no plan that you've presented that indicates that shoring is required?
Because the wall was leaning.
But you said you weren't in there. You never went into the third
No, I went
floor.
in the bottom, but you could see from outside it was starting to lean.
Do you know that my client attached wire and cement to the inside of that wall to?
Like I said, I was inside on the first floor and I didn't see it.
Okay, but could you let me finish my question?
Okay.
Are you aware that my client attached wiring and stuccoed the entire inside of that wall before he removed any floor joist to secure it?
I didn't see it.
Okay, and are you, I didn't ask you if you see it. You weren't on the third floor, right?
No, there was no third floor.
Okay. Now, you were out at the job on July 18th, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ask the gentleman there that you saw whether they were subcontractors or members of my client's company?
Actually, yes, I did. And he didn't answer me.
Okay. Were the individuals that you spoke to able to speak English?
No, Spanish.
Okay. Do you speak Spanish?
No, but I have an interpretation book right here.
Okay.
And I
So
show my OSHA card.
okay. I'm asking you if you speak Spanish.
I think he
Tienes una
responded.
tarjeta de
He
OSHA.
did respond.
Pardon me, Mr. Chairman.
No,
didn't
I
hear you.
don't speak Spanish, but I
Okay.
have interpretations for Spanish people, employees.
And if these men that you spoke to were not subcontractors, but they were members of my client's company, then issuing a violation for what you did would not be proper, correct?
Excuse me, could you repeat that?
Yeah, the violation you listed was, the first one was that the subcontractor list wasn't uploaded.
Correct.
Okay. If the people that you saw at the job site weren't subcontractors, then they couldn't be in violation of that regulation, correct?
Well, how would I know if there was no list uploaded? That's why I requested a list.
Sir, I'm just asking you a pretty straightforward question. If the gentlemen that you saw that day were members of my client's company, then they couldn't be subcontractors. And if they weren't subcontractors, he wouldn't have to upload a list.
Well, that's actually not true.
Well, I think you
You
just
have
said,
to,
you just said to me that you issued violation notices to because subcontractors were not uploaded. But there
Yes.
weren't any subcontractors on the site when you were there.
well, he should have documented something in the Eclipse saying that he had no subcontractors from the get-go and not after it was requested.
Well, let's talk about that.
Okay.
So you were out there on July 18th.
Yes.
right? And you're saying that the contractor list, if there were contractors, had to be uploaded within 3 days of the start of work.
Is that real?
Yes.
Okay, well, July 18th is a Thursday, Friday is the 19th, Saturday is the 20th, Sunday is the 21st, and he uploaded the list on July 22nd, correct? As you
Okay,
already
yeah,
testified.
yes,
Okay, so within 3 business days, he did what he was supposed to do. Next issue, 5 of the 7 violations concern the failure of the team members to have OSHA cards, correct?
correct,
Okay, did you engage in a conversation with each of the gentlemen on the site? Asking them-
yes,
Can you let me finish the question?
yeah,
Okay. Did you ask each of the 5 gentlemen, there's only 4 in the picture, but the gentlemen on the site that you saw, whether they had OSHA cards?
yes, I did.
All right, and did you explain that to them in Spanish?
I asked them in Spanish and I showed them a copy of my OSHA card.
Can you ask me that question in Spanish now? Do I have my OSHA card?
Tiana's?
Without
Oh,
looking at a card?
wait.
No, wait a
Hey,
minute. No,
Mr.
I
Clinton,
can't.
wait, hold on a second. No, let's move on, okay? Unless, Mr. Clinton, are you in fact a bilingual individual?
No, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
let's move on.
I can speak German, but not Spanish.
Let's move on.
With regard to the OSHA cards, weren't they provided to one of the other inspectors on the site?
No other inspector? No, I'm the only one that's required to ask.
Okay. Well, didn't you have somebody with you?
No, I was there alone. There was 2 other departments on site. Contractors,
Was William Michael
services
there with,
unit.
was William Michael there with you? by any
No,
chance?
William Michael's an office worker who actually he requests our sub list for us.
Okay. Were you aware that as part of this appeal, my client provided the 5 OSHA cards? Have you seen them since you've?
But they must be on site and they must be on their person, or we even accept if they're in their phones and they didn't have any. We don't know who them individuals were. We can't prove with no ID.
All right, well, that was my next question. Do you know who you asked to provide the OSHA cards?
Yes, the people in the pictures.
Do you have their names?
No, they wouldn't give them to me.
Okay. Mr. Slade, did they understand what you were asking? I mean, that's really the bottom line here.
Okay, sorry. They have to, that's not my responsibility as an inspector. If there's no one on site that can speak the proper English, there should be someone there to interpret it for him, as the person who was standing up against the wall spoke English, and he wouldn't answer me either.
All right, I have no further questions at this time.
Thank you. Okay, any additional witnesses or redirect, Mr.?
No
Mazzoni?
additional witnesses, but just a brief redirect, if that's all right, Chairman.
Yes, please.
So Inspector Slade, for the OSHA violations,
Yes.
you issue those when workers at a site do not have their OSHA 10 cards at the
Correct.
site, correct?
Correct.
And regarding the subcontractor list, that violation, it's written when within 3 business days of work commencing on a project, no
Correct.
subcontractor list is uploaded, correct?
Correct.
Does it matter if work's commencing by the general contractor or the subcontractor?
No, it doesn't matter who's actually doing the work as long as the list is uploaded within 3 days.
So regardless of who does work, if a work's done under a building permit, a subcontractor list must be uploaded within 3 days.
Correct.
And just generally, when you were at that site, had work been being performed previously?
Yes.
But again, that subcontractor form we saw, do you recall the start date that it listed?
January 15th, I think it is, 2022.
And finally, for the last violation, Inspector Slade, do you recall the language that was listed in the plans that we reviewed?
English.
Do you recall the specific section of the plans that led to you writing your violation?
The related notes, general notes.
Would it help if I showed you specifically what the language said?
Yes, please.
And so this is number 4. Could you just read that briefly?
Contractor shall provide temporary shoring and bracing as required to properly construct the building.
Inspector Slade, does a construction project where mid-construction an imminently dangerous case is issued by the department, is that a properly constructed building?
No.
So it's safe to assume that if an ID case is entered or written against the property, it's not being properly constructed, correct?
Correct.
And again, you observe no shoring or bracing at the property, correct?
No.
And a temporary shoring and bracing may have prevented that imminently dangerous case from being written, correct?
Possibly. I can't fully answer that.
Okay. Thank you, Inspector Slade. No further questions.
Thank you.
Just one question on redirect, if I may.
Yes.
If at the time, you've indicated that a subcontractor list should be uploaded and my client didn't identify subcontractors at that time, it would have been impossible for him to upload those lists, correct?
Excuse me?
Right.
Could you repeat that?
Yeah, what I understand you to say is that when a building permit is issued, my client, any GC is supposed to upload within 3 days, business days, a subcontractor list.
Yes.
Okay. And if the GC doesn't have the contractors lined up or contracted for, he would be unable to submit such a list. Would you agree?
Yes, I would say that, but he handed a subcontractor list in with subcontractors on it, and they still weren't uploaded.
No further questions.
Thank you. Okay, any additional witnesses for the city?
No further witnesses.
All right, thank you. Mr. Clinton?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to call Davis Jussi.
Okay, I think he's been sworn, so please proceed.
Sure. Davis, can you explain why there was no subcontractor list uploaded as alleged by Mr. Slade on a timely basis?
So we did not know which contract at the time when the permit started on December 18, 2023, who we're going to use for certain jobs yet. And we did not have that list. And at the time of the audit, as they requested, we made a decision to hire for Jywar McElderly and then Vijay LRI, the two. The other ones that are listed are not required to be submitted because they are electrician, plumbing, and mechanical technical are required to be listed as subcontractors. So at the time when we started the job, we did not know the subcontractor we're going to use. And then later on, we make a decision that these are the list that we kind of anticipate that we're going to use. But for the moment, we're doing the work ourselves.
Okay. And then when you realized the subcontractors that you're going to use, you uploaded them and provided them to Mr. Slade and
Correct.
To Eclipse.
Correct.
Okay. On the day of this inspection of July 18th, there was also other individuals there from L&I, correct?
Yes.
And Mr. DeSabato was there, I gather?
Correct.
And you were on the telephone with Mr. DeSabato?
I was on the telephone first with Inspector Kelly, her supervisor, Brian Wright, and then later on, Anthony DeSabato came to the job site and spoke with me.
Did any of those 3 individuals ask you for your team members' OSHA cards?
No, they did not.
Okay. Did Mr. Slade get on the phone with you and ask you where your workers' OSHA cards were?
No, they did not. He did not.
Did your workers have OSHA cards on them at the job site?
Yes, they did.
Okay. And as part of your appeal package, did you provide those OSHA cards to the appeal board?
Yes, I did.
And I can bring those cards up if I may, Mr. Chairman, if you want to see them.
Sure. The issue is, do you have anything that will prove to us that they had them on their person at the time of inspection?
If they understood the question, they would have. I know that's not answering your question, but we will agree that they did not produce them at that time, but they did have them on their person. According to the testimony from my client.
Okay, thank you. So there's no need unless we can match a name with the face.
Mr. Chairman, can I see,
Yes.
can I see
please.
the
Yes.
cards? I'd like to see the cards.
Okay, yeah, put them up. Yep.
Right. Let me see if I can get a. Can I share my screen? Oh, there we go.
Yes.
These were part of our appeal package. One, two.
Okay, wait, before you go too fast, go back to the first one. And you'll need to expand it a bit so we can see it.
Chairman Woodson, I'm just gonna object to relevance here. These have no bearing on whether they had their OSHA cards at the time of the inspection by Inspector Slade.
That's so noted. However, one of our board members would like to see the cards that are being presented. Okay.
Mr. Clinton, could you spin that around, blow it up, please?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I should do that.
Rotate it.
Let me try to do that. Wrong way, sorry. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Is that visible, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, just make it larger so we can see the whole card. Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Davis, was this one of the individuals who was on the job site?
I included all the guys that were on the site that day, yes.
Okay. To switch this around, and this is another team member who was on the site at the time of this inspection,
Yes,
Pablo Cabral. Is this another team member who was on the job at the site, Marcelo da Silva?
yes.
Now, sir, these all have dates of 2024.
Okay. So they're valid.
Date of issue. What about the inspection was there in 2022, wasn't he?
No,
No, 2024.
2024.
2024.
My
July
apologies.
2024.
My apologies.
No problem. And then here's the fifth card, Wallow. Is he also one of the individuals in the photographs?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to stop sharing then. So you spoke to two L&I inspectors, three L&I inspectors at the site, but you didn't speak to Mr. Slade.
Correct.
Okay. Did the gentlemen whose cards were produced, do they have a command of the English language?
No, they do not.
Okay. With regard to the issue concerning the rear wall,
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
concerning the third floor wall that is being contested here and the shoring, is there anything on the plans that you submitted to L&I that indicate that shoring is required
No.
with concerning the work you did on the project?
No, there's nothing on the plan.
In the abundance of caution, what did you do to safeguard the wall as a precaution?
So the wall is supported by metal beams on the first floor. And then also we mesh iron the whole wall, the front and the side wall, and stucco before we removed any joist or before we removed any interior framing and the roof rafters.
How long have you been a general contractor in the city of Philadelphia?
8 years.
Approximately how many homes have you renovated and or constructed in those 8 years?
Objection, relevance.
So noted, overruled.
Over 75.
Okay. Have you ever received a violation from the Department of License Inspection for any issue or any reason?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. And did you move forward with the construction of this building and complete it?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Without any incident or further violations from L&I?
Correct.
Is there anything that you want to tell the panel, the board, that I didn't ask you about, Davis?
Yeah, so one thing I want to add, the guys speaking there are speak Portuguese, they don't speak Spanish, so it's a certain language. And there was not reported to me that OSHA cards were required to them on site. And the testimony of Mr. Slade mentioned that he found them working on site, which that was not the case. They are across the street sitting there, and then they are not working on site because there was a stop work from Anthony DeSabato, which requested for anyone to be removed from the property. And then at that time, we sent another, there was only 3 guys working on site, first of all, not 5. One of the other 4 men was sent to the site to speak with Mr. Sabato. And while I was on the phone, to make sure there was an understanding of what the scope was entitled. Mr. DeSabato requested that we bring on site a representative from Alpha Engineering immediately, otherwise the city will be called to demolish the property. We did bring a representative from Alpha Engineering by 1:30, and we discussed what we need to get done, because the general notes are a matter of interpretation. At the time, we thought we were safe and monitoring the situation. But at the request of both engineer and Mr. DeSabato, we comply with bracing and then continue work to make the property safe. Mr. DeSabato revisited the property on July 19 and asked us to continue. The Alpha engineer also inspected to make sure the bracing was correct, and then they asked us to continue. Within 3 to 4 days after that, we have completed the work, including installing the roof and make the property safe.
Thank you. Any cross-examination, Mr. Missouri?
Yes, just, I'll try to keep it brief, Chairman. Davis, could you please restate your last name?
Yeah.
One more time, I missed that.
Juicy.
Juicy?
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Juicy, so your testimony is that there are 4 workers at the property, correct?
3.
There were 3 workers. So if I share my screen, would you be able to identify the workers for me?
Yes.
Do you recognize these individuals?
The one in a blue shirt that has the phone in his hand with Marlboro, yes.
But do you recognize the person behind them?
No, I do not know the person behind him.
Do you recognize this individual?
Yes, I do.
And do you recognize this individual?
Yes, I do.
Do you recognize this individual?
This person was not working on site. He came to discuss us my foreman. Yes, I do recognize him.
I'm sorry, Mr. Juicy, could you please repeat that answer? I did not understand everything. you
Oh,
said.
he came on site as part of the call that I asked him to go there because I was not on site and clarify with Mr. Saba what needed to be done, but he was not working at the time.
Does this individual speak English? Are you aware?
He was on the phone with me and I was translating, speaks Albanian.
So he does not speak English.
Vaguely, yes.
Does he have an OSHA 10 card? Do you know?
He has an OSHA 30.
And then just, when did you identify the subcontractors for this property?
We made an assumption because to provide to the city something, and then because the 2 required that the 1 required actually that we had to identify was a McElderly for drywall, and we are no near that work to be commenced. Everybody else are not required to be commenced if we did not hire.
And when did work commence on this property?
So we started this beginning of July.
What year?
2024.
You started work July?
The permit is on the audit form, actually, the date is incorrect because the initial inspection was actually January 2024.
The initial inspection was January of 2024?
Correct, not 2022, because the permit was issued on December 18, 2023.
Were you aware that a subcontractor list had to be uploaded within 3 days of the?
My interpretation is 3 days before the work, or within 3 days the work has commenced for that particular subcontractor. That's or known to us.
And did you hear Inspector Slade's testimony that it's within 3 days of work of any 3 days of any work at the property?
Again, it's for interpretation in my knowledge, because if we do not know, we cannot submit anything. Because electrician and plumbers are not required because they pull their own permit.
Okay.
But if we do the work ourselves, then I don't need to report anything. And sometime we decide whether we're gonna do it ourselves or hire somebody at a later date. We don't know on all the jobs all the time.
Okay, and per the subcontractor list, on certain pieces of that, you listed no subcontractor, correct?
Correct.
And so is it possible that you could have listed no subcontractor if you weren't aware of a subcontractor at that time?
I mean, we are required, the form, we only submitted if the audit requested. The rest, we have to do it on Eclipse. We don't have to submit the form to the audit department. We only have to report it on Eclipse. We only comply with the audit if they request our form to be filled.
So you do not submit the form unless you get an audit request?
That form, that's how it's been submitted. Everything else goes into Eclipse. There's a specific subcontract tab on Eclipse for the permit.
And you usually submit that outside
As
of the
of-
audit request?
Correct.
And so the initial inspection on this property was in January of 2024, correct? And did you submit the audit, the subcontractor list within 3 days of that initial inspection?
We do not had any to be listed at the moment.
And just going back to one statement you made to your attorney, you say that you did not know OSHA cards are required. Is that correct? To be carried at all times?
No, I did not say that.
So you are aware of the requirement that OSHA 10 cards are required
Yes,
to
and
be
all my
held by
guys
all
had
workers?
and they had the OSHA card, and you can see the pictures are taken on a job site. That I
What
submitted
pictures of the job site?
for the OSHA cards.
Well, did your workers present Inspector Slade with their OSHA 10 cards at that time?
To my knowledge, they were not, and we are not aware, and they didn't communicate to me that they were asked to submit to show OSHA card to him.
Okay, and just one more question, regarding the temporary shoring and bracing, did you provide any of that at the property?
We are building the property as we go, and the first floor was built. The iron beam was in place as well, and then we're building on the second floor as we're going. So at all time, we're on site to monitor the situation. To our knowledge, thought that we're okay. Whether the wall was leaning, we did not believe the wall was leaning. It was more of a freestanding than leaning. The part that seemed a little bit leaning, it's the chimney, which is a joint chimney with a neighbor. So we talked to them and then took care of that.
Did you appeal the imminently dangerous case that LNI opened up against you?
Objection, Your Honor. We're not here for imminently danger. We satisfied that violation. We don't have any fines or penalties, so I don't know why we keep going back to it.
Chairman Woodson, the testimony is that this was not as bad, or the property was safer than the imminently dangerous case would seem to represent. I'm just asking in regards to the temporary shoring and bracing.
Okay, Mr. Davis, Jonas, your response should be limited to whether or not there was a case and whether or not you complied with the requirements.
As I mentioned,
I can rephrase, Chairman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Jizzy, are you aware of the imminently dangerous case?
Again,
Are you aware of the imminently dangerous case?
Can you let him answer?
No, he needs his answer must be direct, though. Give a direct answer, sir.
As I mentioned, we are made aware.
I'm just looking for a yes or no, Mr.
We'll
Jizzy.
stipulate that there was an imminent dangerous violation issued, which we adhered to within 2 days and completed. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh,
Anything else?
Just one more question about that. Was that violation appealed to your knowledge, Mr. Jizzy?
We did not appeal because also Alpha Engineering asked us to do the shoring, so we did the shoring as requested by.
I'm just
by the
asking
other-
whether that violation was appealed.
We comply with the violation. There was no time to appeal.
Mr. Jonas, you're not being direct, and Mr. Clinton, direct your client to respond directly to the question.
Yeah,
Yes
but
or
he-
no?
he-
Did he appeal?
Mr. Chairman, he's asking him, did we appeal something that he complied with? You can't appeal
Did he
something.
appeal? That's the question. You can say yes or no. I'd like him to say yes or no as a direct response.
But we did not appeal that.
Thank you.
Dangerous.
All right, no further questions, Chairman Woodson.
Thank you. Any redirect?
Just
sir?
one
Mr. Clinton?
question.
Yes.
Davis, why didn't you appeal the imminently dangerous violation?
Because we complied to make happy the inspectors and whatever was requested, and we did it right away. And then we didn't think the need, and they closed, by the time we turned around, the city closed the violation, so there was no room to appeal once they closed the violation. We didn't believe that we needed to appeal because we didn't think there was any fine or anything imposed to the violation.
And it's true that no fine was imposed for that because your company complied, correct?
To my knowledge, yes, correct.
No more
And we
questions.
complied right away to continue work
Thank you.
and continue to make the building.
We do have I believe we do have a few additional questions from the board. Sir, you indicated you worked in Philadelphia as a general contractor for over 8 years, correct?
Yes,
Okay, in this instance, this particular location, are you the owner of that building?
yes, I'm the owner of the building as well.
And so you were not being hired by a separate developer, you were working for yourself?
Correct.
Okay, and when you do your development budget for a project, don't you determine whether you will have subs or you do it on your own forces?
Sometime because certain projects we do for ourselves, we also do it in our own time, meaning that if we have time, we redirect so we don't get the employees without work and then sometime withhold. And we believe that most of the work we do ourselves, and the required people that need license, like a fire suppression or electric or plumbing, they pull their own permits and we're not required to report them. And then when we start a
Oh,
job, we believe.
wait.
So
Wait, you're
I wanna say,
required
when we
to-
start a job.
Wait,
we believe
sir,
We're gonna
wait.
do the job ourselves.
Listen to me. You're required to report the list of subcontractors. You're the owner and contractor. So everybody who works on that job works for you. The electricians, the plumbers, HVAC, they all work for you. They pull their separate permits, but they work for you.
So may I read what the Eclipse says list of all subcontractors other than in bold, mechanical, electric, plumbing, or fire suppression contract licensed in the city of Philadelphia retained to the
Okay.
perform of the work must be reported.
Okay.
Other than.
Okay, so you aren't required to list those other contractors, even though they work for you.
Correct, I'm not required to.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
I think you've answered it. You've
No, I
answered
did
it
not,
already.
because I didn't understand, so I misunderstood the question.
Those other contractors, the language you just read indicate that those persons, although they work for you, your company, are not required to be listed on the subcontractors list.
They do not work from a company, they are hired for the project.
They're hired by your
electrician-
company to work for
Yes.
on the project. So they work for
Correct,
you?
yes. Yes,
Okay,
I'm not required to report them.
okay.
Have a
Yes.
I have a
anything else?
question, Mr. Davis. As a general licensed contractor, all your MEPs, subcontractors, permit must be approved under the general contractor's building permit, considered the mother permit, correct?
Not necessarily, that's usually under new construction, when on the rehab, they can reply at a later date. They don't have to be at the time I pull the permit, so they can
No,
pull their
that's not my
permit.
question. My question is
I'm
not when
sorry.
you pull the permit. When they apply for their permit, it's coming up under your general contractor and license with the mother permit, which is the building permit, correct?
Not all the time. Not all the time, depending on the type of the permit, usually it comes on the new construction, but not on the rehabs.
No further questions.
Anything else?
I have a question. Mr. Davis,
Yes,
do you have an issue 30,
I do have an OSHA 65.
issue 65? Did you take it? When your employees took the class, was there a Portuguese interpreter?
My knowledge, yes.
So on 3
They
different
also
days?
can be taken, they can also do it online, so they don't have to do it in person.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Juicy, just two quick questions. You testified that you had done a great deal of shoring of the lower floors of the building. Do you have any photographs of the metal
I believe we
shoring?
did submitted them, and even in the picture of the exhibits, you can see that framing is complete on the first floor going into the second.
Can you put those pictures up right now?
See if I have them here.
You can pull the other from the city.
John, can you put your presentation up? The photographs are in there.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that courtesy. I
You just
really
need
do.
to stop sharing first.
You can see the first floor completed, and then with a 2x6, which is in very strong framing, usually done on new construction, and we did on the rehab.
Do you have a photograph of the wires that you said you used on the third floor, I think you said?
You can see the stucco of the wall. This is the first floor. You can see the stucco. It's made with mesh wire, and then you can go on the second floor. Picture up, please.
This
This is the wall with the neighbor. Let me see if you go down a little bit. See some of the stucco work done. Go down. Keep going. You can see this is the third floor wall. You can see the stucco done on that before the hallway.
Yes,
to
I
the
see the
roof beam.
stucco, excuse me for interrupting, Mr. Juicy. I do see. So what I don't see is the wire that you said you were using to secure that
When we do-
freestanding wall.
So it's a mesh wire they use with stucco, so there's no necessarily like a pull wire. It's a mesh wiring stucco to hold all the bricks together and the wall together.
So the
We
mesh
will-
is behind the stucco. Is that your testimony?
Correct.
And just a quick question. You testified that the project started on January 15th, 2024. Is that correct?
We had the initial inspection that time, yes.
And in the photographs of the OSHA card, it says those OSHA cards were issued in March of 2024.
Right, but we didn't do any work at that time. We started work in July.
You just said that the start date was January 15th, 2024.
The initial inspection from the city, that doesn't mean we really start work.
So there was initial inspection of what? What were they inspecting?
So they come and see the conditions of the building and they tell us you're okay to proceed working. It's a standard procedure. So they come and see the conditions. So they have the plans and we schedule for initial inspection with the building inspector. And then the building inspector comes and then they look at the condition and they tell us, okay, you okay to proceed? And then they tell us what the next inspection will be, or we can go in Eclipse and look at the next inspection.
And one final question. You have 3 gentlemen on site that speak Portuguese and 1 gentleman that speaks Slovenia, yet you are working in the city of Philadelphia.
Speak Slovenian.
Albanian, I'm sorry. I beg your pardon. Do you not think it necessary to have a staff person there during inspections who can interpret for your workers?
Most of the time I'm there.
Yes, but you weren't there on the date of Mr. Slade's inspection. So who is interpreting on dates when you're not there?
We do via phone call, and then if we need to, we interpret, yes.
So someone would
We
have
use,
to be.
We
so
use
someone
Google
would-
Translator, we use, other people that are bilingual.
What other, I'm sorry, never mind. I apologize. I'm going to withdraw that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have another
Yeah,
question,
please.
Chairman. Mr. Zewar, could you pull that last photo up?
Sure thing. So this picture,
Yes, Mr. Davis. The top of that picture, there's no wire or stucco on that freestanding wall there.
If you look, Your Honor, it's or member of the board, it's all the way up to where the roof rafters were, where we could not reach. So we did it until there, and then we removed the roof rafters. So that's only the small portion, about 2 feet at the top. But the rest, all the way from the third floor all the way to the first floor, it's already stucco.
Yeah, but that's the freestanding wall. That's the wall in question, isn't it?
Right, so we have that in stucco and mesh wire, and you can see it.
No,
The
I
brown,
can't
the black,
can't see
the
the
black
mesh wire.
one. Not the wire, you can't see because behind the stucco, you can see the stucco. Clearly, you can see the stucco. It's not even dry completely. You can see the difference in color between the two.
I can't see the wall entirely stuccoed.
I'm not sure because the picture, the way it's taken, so there, the rafters are blocking your view. So if you see between the rafters, you can, if you look 1, 2, 3, 4, after the fourth one, you can see there's a glimpse in there. The color is the same as the stucco. The only top portion is 3 feet above. At the very top, there's no stucco.
Why isn't there stucco in there?
Again, there was the roof and we couldn't reach at the moment.
But Mr. Pettit, can I address that maybe?
Sure.
I guess what Davis is saying is that they stucco with wire or mesh rather, and stucco before they take anything down, because if you don't, I mean, you're going to stabilize the situation before you take any rafters or joists out. And what you're seeing there is from the ceiling of the third floor and the little crawl space up into the roof. And on the right-hand side, that's probably where a partition wall was, like a 2x3, and that's not stucco, if that answers your question. And if you look at the little gap, like he said, three floor joist over, you can see that there's, stucco or cement on the wall, and the cement on the third floor is still dark because it hasn't fully dried yet, and the stucco on the second floor is dry.
But I see the stucco is below the window.
You
Top of
see
the
what?
window. So there was no ceiling there.
Wait, are you talking about above the window on the third floor?
Yeah, right below the window, the stucco stops. Right below
No.
the top of the window.
Wait, on top of the window, that's the crawl space, but if you look at the floor joist, the fourth one over, and you look through there, you can see that there's stucco there, the same color as the stucco on the right-hand side. It's just above the window that's not done. That would have been the gap from the ceiling rafters until the roof rafters.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. What we will now do, having heard the witness testimony, we will go to closing argument. Mr. Clinton, then we'll hear from the city.
Yeah, just very briefly, I think we have 3 issues. One is the subcontractor issue and the loading up of the documents. I think Mr. Davis was pretty clear on his timing. And I think forgotten in all of this is the individuals working at the site were members of his company. They weren't subcontractors. And he can't load subcontractors into the system unless he knows who he's going to use. On the second issue with regard to OSHA, my client testified that his clients had the cards at the site. If he's able to produce the cards several days after the meeting, which he did, and if my client's members understood what the question was, or someone got on the phone and called Davis, he could have interpreted. They had the cards. So that's a matter of misinterpretation. They actually had the cards on the site as testified by my client. And finally, on the temporary shoring, the plans number 4 are very general. They use the word as required. My experienced client determined that it was not required. L&I determined that it was required. Within 2 days, an engineer filed a report and the shoring was installed. So if there's no determination on the plans or requirement on the plans for shoring in certain areas, then I don't see how my client can be culpable of not providing shoring when it wasn't allocated. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, for your patience. And I know this was a protracted hearing.
Mr. Clinton, I do have one question before the city closes. Just a matter of clarity. The OSHA cards, I noted that the dates on the cards were March 2024. Is that the date they were issued or the expiration date?
I believe,
That's the date of the either issue or renewals, because the OSHA cards are renewal every 5 years.
Okay, so Mr. Clinton, you didn't show OSHA cards that were in effect at the time of the inspection, which was earlier.
No.
Or am I
No.
incorrect? In my date, do I have my dates wrong?
You got the date wrong. Because the OSHA cards are before July 18th of
Okay, all
2024.
right, thank you. I just want to clarify that. Thank you.
Yes.
Any closing, Mr. Rizzo?
Yeah, I'll try to keep it brief, Chairman Woodson. I believe Mr. Clinton identified the three issues here. It's the OSHA cards, the subcontractor list, and the plans, deviation from the plans. I think what they're trying to do is put the burden on the Audits and Investigations Unit when this is their appeal. And as Inspector Slade testified very clearly, he was at the site. He was aware of the 5 workers who were performing work on the site. He asked them and attempted to ask them to present their OSHA cards, a requirement of the Philadelphia Code. There's no interpretation. The code is very clear that workers on site need to have the OSHA 10 cards. Inspector Slade asked and attempted to obtain these OSHA 10 cards and did not receive those cards. As for the subcontractors list, again, Inspector Slade's testimony was very clear. That subcontractor list needs to be uploaded within 3 days of the commencement of any work on the project. Whatever timeline we want to use here, in terms of the January date, Mr. Juzzi testified that they started work early July. Within 3 business days, that subcontractor list was not put on the Eclipse system. If the issue is that those subcontractors were not identified, that is very possible to let the department know that those are to be determined. That was not done. There was no list. That the Audits and Investigations Unit had nothing to go off of, no identification for any of the workers at that site. This is why we have the Philadelphia Code. This is why the unit exists. And finally, I understand the confusion regarding that last violation for the deviation from the plans. I think the imminently dangerous case is extremely instructive. And I believe Mr. Clinton just said that the engineer within 2 days advised them and they put in temporary shoring for the freestanding wall. I think it's apparent on the face of the pictures what happened here, why this imminently dangerous case was issued, and why, as the plan stated, temporary shoring and bracing were required in that instance, right? It's ultimately a judgment call for the board, which I will leave in your hands. But I think it is very clear, based on the pictures, based on the testimony, that temporary shoring and bracing were necessary, should have been put in, but at the time of inspection were not put in, as the plans determined where necessary that needed to take place. And so just asking for a city affirm at this time.
Thank you very much. We will now poll the board regarding HA 2024-003473, 1950 South 15th Street, Davis Juzzi, that's GJUZI, doing business as AMP Construction LLC. City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
Okay, the unanimous vote is city affirmed. Mr. Clinton, as you're aware, you may appeal any decision of this board to the Court of Common Pleas. Thank you for your participation. All the witnesses are excused.
thank you,
Thank you,
Chairman,
Chairman.
members of the board.
We'll off the record just for a moment. Motor, is that our final matter?
That was the final listed matter, sir, but we do want to come back to item number 15 if we can. That was hearing appeal ending 3303, 1430 West Girard Avenue. Eliu Berenner.
Okay, we called that matter earlier. Mr. Brenner, are you present? I see a name, Eliya. Ms. Motor, is that the name we're referencing?
Yes, sir. I've sent prompts to both start the video and unmute themselves.
Okay, the person is not responding. I don't recall who represent the city in this matter. Do we know who that person would be?
Give me 1 second, sir.
That would be Maria Aquino with the city.
Okay, just if she's available, just in case this person comes on. We haven't made a decision yet, but just in case. Mr. Elia Brenner, B&C Management LLC. No one's responding, sir, so we've called earlier, there was no response at that time, so we've called a second time and no response, so let's move on.
That concludes all the matters, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for your participation. That concludes our business for today. Have a good evening.